Hello everyone, Giltar here with a response to TFfanmaiku's video called Does Reviews Affect Your Buying Choices and Should Companies Watch Our Reviews? To answer the first question, reviews do affect my buying choices. I'm always looking for as much information as I can gather before I decide whether or not to purchase something. And so one of my resources for getting that information is reviews. That way I can just get a whole bunch of different perspectives on a certain product, for example, like a Transformers figure. And once I get all those different views and sort of sift through all that information, then I'll use that and create my own judgment and decide whether or not I'll buy something. And should companies watch our reviews? I don't think so, to be honest. Like TFfanmaiku mentions that the fans we buy these products and we help essentially pay these people to do their job. On the other hand, I think there's a little too much credit given to fans, especially when we're talking about companies like Hasbro that don't make fan-oriented products. It just happens to be that they have a lot of product lines like Transformers and G.I. Joes that fans have grown around. And what I mean by that is these products like Transformers or G.I. Joes and whatever, these toys are meant to be disposable, throwaway products that little kids will play around with and wreck and then forget about someday in the future. They don't make products, for the most part, that are collectible, that are for enthusiasts. Every once in a while, we'll see certain products from Transformers or G.I. Joe that are sort of special, like masterpiece Transformers figures. They're the type of product that would be for an enthusiast, a die-hard fan and collector. But the majority of Transformers toys are just toys. They're meant for the mainstream crowd, for the mainline sort of customer base. They're not meant specifically for fans, enthusiasts, die-hard collectors, whatever. And so when viewing the situation in that light, I really don't think there's any reason for some companies to be paying attention to reviewers or reviews. They're already doing what they need to do to make their business go. However, there are certain companies that should pay some attention to reviews, because these companies are specifically companies that produce collector products. Companies like NECA or McFarlane Toys, for example. These are two companies that really, for the most part, make products meant for adult collectors. They're not meant for like a 5-year-old kid or something like a Transformer toy could be. For example, the Nightmare on Elm Street figures are not playable toys. I mean, they're pretty much statues with a few joints for articulation to give some variety to moving some of the parts, like the arms or whatever. But they're not playable. They're not like something that could be manipulated and you can take to a playground sandbox and play around with. And that's just on the functional side of things. When we're talking about the actual source material, I mean, like what little kids can be playing around with the Freddy Krueger figure, right? And that's the thing. These products, they're for specific types of people, and because of that, it's a very specific and narrow sort of niche market. And because of that, it's practical for a company like NECA or a company like McFarlane Toys to consider reviews in their, I guess, research and development departments, so that they can find out, what do the people that buy our products, what do they want, what do they desire, what do they dislike? Because again, a company like NECA, they're not selling to everyone that they can get to. They're just selling to specific types of people who want these specific types of products. And so those are the only types of companies, in my opinion, that should be paying attention to reviews and reviewers at all. Everyone else, there's no reason for them to be paying 1 ounce of attention to a YouTube reviewer or someone with a toy review website. Now that being said, yeah, it really depends. Like, I mean, again, I don't want to sort of play down the importance of the fan base, but at the same time, the reality is fans are only a small fraction of the overall customer base for many of these companies. And again, only companies like NECA, for example, would have a good portion of their customers being fans. Aside from that, Hasbro, Mattel, these are companies that shouldn't be concerned with reviews by fans or by enthusiasts. They're not the type of people that their products are meant for. So those are my answers to TFfanmaiku's questions. I ask you guys again, just like I've done before in my other video responses. If you have any thoughts on these questions, please leave your thoughts, your responses at TFfanmaiku's video page, which I'll link to here. Just because he's the one that's asking the questions, I'm just responding. So if you have a text response, or if you want to do a video response, go to his video, respond to that one. Don't respond to mine, just because he's the one that's asking the questions, and you should be really sort of directing your thoughts to him. So as usual, I hope you guys enjoyed this video of mine and got something out of it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys at the next video.